Hi everyone, welcome to the video. Thank you for tuning in. Today we have some more positive news in the market overall, despite a few of these figures in red, but the general growth of the space over the past 7 days has been wonderful and incredible, considering there was many of these on the cusp of potentially an ongoing bear market. It looks like a bull market could be in sights, well, at least for the coming months. For those who didn't see my last video, the price increased significantly over the weekend, not just with Bitcoin, but as we can see, this was emulated throughout the entire space. One of the reasons being a positive sentiment from Chinese President Xi Jinping, highlighting a lot of the promising aspects of blockchain technology per se. Didn't specify Bitcoin or any cryptos. So wonderful in the space, and I'm going to cover this in addition to information about the Bakkt futures on the 9th of December and news about Ethereum 2.0's upgrade, these being some major news articles for today. Going down the list here, over the past 24 hours or so, I do want to point out, now this has changed a bit over the past hour, but some cryptos with the largest gains, we had Tron, Neo, dipped down again, but it showed an even stronger uptick. Ontology is still strong over the past 7 days, especially over the past 24 hours. And then we have VeChain has picked up again, and Qtum. And now many of these based in China or have offices and have like a very solid foundation in China and I guess Eastern Asia as well. For example, looking at VeChain here, 4 of the 7 offices there in East Asia: Singapore, Shanghai, Tokyo, and Hong Kong. Qtum as well, with bases in Beijing and Shanghai. But I do want to point out, back to the positive news over the weekend on that huge increase in just one day. According to this article here from bitcoincryptocurrency.com, and as usual, a link to this in the description. The largest increase in 24-hour price since 2011, in fact, the 4th highest historically for a single day. And these are encouraging signs, but early days nevertheless, considering Bitcoin, for example, is still down significantly from its, not just its all-time high, but the high for the calendar year, which I think was about 12,600, which occurred back in July. So let's see if we can hit some new resistance levels and stay above them. Time will tell. A quick side note, as always, none of this is legal, tax, and or financial advice. Please always do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. So starting off with the major news about Chinese President Xi Jinping making the announcement about cryptocurrencies over the weekend there. So this is the article about Neo surging 35%. This was yesterday, in addition to the market-wide meteoric rise that we experienced. So in a nutshell, Chinese President Xi Jinping spoke about the promising signs of blockchain technology for various industries. For example, just paraphrasing some of the information here. So it's necessary to promote the deep integration of blockchain and the real economy, and financing loans for small to medium enterprises, controlling the risk of banks, and then promoting the application of blockchain technology for education, employment, poverty alleviation, medical health, and other industries there. Not the first time he's made a public comment on blockchain. Still a noteworthy endorsement. This is something that's lacking from President Trump. I'm sure many people in the USA would appreciate it if he were more supportive of blockchain technology, or I guess cryptocurrencies in general, although that would change the whole discourse and governing cryptocurrencies and DLT in the USA. Nevertheless, it would be nice if Australia did more, but it's another kettle of fish. Alrighty, and this article here from Blockonomy also talks about the Libra Yuan debate. It's relevant to point this out, and it's linked between the rivalry between the US and China. I want to read some information from this article here. Last week, Mark Zuckerberg gave similar statements to what David Marcus, who is spearheading the Libra project, and saying that the stablecoin project represents an opportunity to keep up to date with global competitors, especially China. And here's a direct quote. It says, "Libra is going to be backed mostly by dollars, and I believe that it will extend America's financial leadership around the world, as well as our democratic values and oversight," Zuckerberg said. And quote, I I'm very skeptical about that. As a side note, I think it's worth discussing this Facebook Libra topic. I haven't spoken about this for a few weeks. I've been out of action. There's a lot of reluctance to support the Libra launch in many countries. I am skeptical about how widespread this will be, at least initially, although I'm sure many countries will take the money nevertheless. Okay, back to the news about Chinese President Xi Jinping's announcement with blockchain technology and all of that. Another piece here in relation to this, just pointing out some of the counter arguments against to what extent he managed to get the price or the markets to increase. A notable venture capitalist in the space, Dovey Wan, who's given vast amounts of insight into China, indicated that a lot of the Western traders drove the majority of the Bitcoin price rally, in her words there, from 7,300 to 10,600 over the weekend. When you consider that we've been in such a prolonged bear market, it's understandable that a lot of hype kicks in, you get the FUD, and excitement in the space. So other than Dovey Wan is input from Alex Kruger, who pointed out some data that may correspond to Wan's points of view. He pointed out these statistics here from Baidu. The term blockchain exploded, and then searches for that hit an all-time high. In terms of Bitcoin, that barely moved according to this chart here, which is posted on Twitter. Nevertheless, it's still a positive endorsement, moving away from China and the US and thinking of the rest of the world. There is the whole world outside of these two countries. These are still positive signs. Now, I know some of you are thinking, why haven't I spoken about the other news about Bakkt and Ethereum upgrades? Moving on to that, as a segue, here is a piece from The Block, which speaks about Bakkt to launch options for its Bitcoin futures in December. This is something I spoke about briefly in my last video. Official launch date on the 9th of December with the regulated options contract for Bitcoin futures. So based on information from Bakkt CEO Kelly Loeffler, is based, and I do quote, on customer feedback and is designed to hedge or gain Bitcoin exposure, generate income, and offer cost and capital efficiencies. Piece from The Block, just outlining some of the key points there, in addition to this article on Medium, or Bakkt's Medium page here, with the post from Kelly Loeffler, just listing a few of the key characteristics here. I encourage you to read the rest of this. These include capital efficiency, cash or physical settlement, attractive fees, starting out at $1.25 per options contract, each contract being worth 1 Bitcoin, instant messaging, block trades and options analytics, and many more features for you to enjoy, or for institutional investors in particular. And further information about Bakkt, here is a list of articles available from CCN here, and a link to these as always in the description. Other than Bakkt, there was also the announcement about Ethereum with its major upgrades here, and there's this daily hodl piece. A major upgrade titled Istanbul is scheduled to be rolled out or launched on the 4th of December. In the event of any critical errors, if they were to occur, then the date could be pushed back to the 8th of January. It's what's called a hard fork, so it's like a major system upgrade. And it's the 8th since Ethereum's launched back in July 2015. There's information as well about Bitcoin, Ripple and XRP, Ethereum and Cardano. Now, just for the rest of this, I want to point out, or just give you some input about certain things to bear in mind when looking at the space in the coming months. The weekend also coincided with what was 200 days from the next Bitcoin block reward halving. Roughly every 4 years, the Bitcoin block reward is halved. It is currently 12.5 coins per block and will drop down to 6.25. So what does this mean? It will lower the inflation rate and therefore fewer Bitcoin going into circulation at any given time. We know that there will only be 21 million Bitcoins produced based on this maximum supply here. So bear in mind that we have increasing scarcity at a lower inflation rate, coupled with what's anticipated to be increased demand, technological improvements, lower fees, and greater adoption. All of these culminate into very promising signs for Bitcoin and hopefully what will be a huge price increase. I also want to point out perspective, as always, when you consider that the overall cryptocurrency market cap, approximately 249 billion US dollars at the moment. This is still a drop in the ocean when you consider the overwhelming amount of money that occurs throughout the world at the moment. There is this market watch piece, which includes, I'm going to scroll down and just show you a bit of the graph here. It says it's titled Comparing the World's Money and Markets. This is from the Money Project, available on the Market Watch website, or this article here. The tens, if not hundreds of trillions of US dollars currently present in real estate, gold, stocks, government bonds, a tiny amount in crypto, tiny in the grand scheme of things, and cash, all of these things and many more. There is incredible room for growth here. And all of these, as we know, many of these crypto projects have unique features and this robust utility that will make them stand out for whatever reason, whether they be for transactions, stores of value, smart contracts, so on and so forth, or in the case of XRP with international remittances, for example. We're dealing with incredible room for growth. I would just like to remind you, thinking of some of the biggest tech stocks around the world, and I know people have criticized me for drawing parallels between, say, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and cryptocurrencies of today. Well, this is just purely for some perspective and an idea of how much cryptocurrencies can grow. And I know many people, and myself included to a certain point, that these could outpace the growth from three of the biggest world's tech stocks today. These three have exceeded, or in the case of Apple and Microsoft, still above 1 trillion market cap with their share prices. Then the incredible growth that we've seen throughout the space over the years. It's taken a long time, and with crypto will happen in a much shorter time frame. Do factor that in as well. A lot of the what are considered outlandish price predictions, say Bitcoin hitting 500,000 and XRP hitting 100 or Ethereum hitting 10,000, they're not so far-fetched. Cryptocurrencies are still it's still a nascent space. Many of these are less than 5 years old, and in the case of Bitcoin, only 10 years old. Yet it's becoming a global craze, and give it 2 years' time and it will penetrate various markets even deeper. Things are going to get very interesting, especially with possibly another looming financial crisis. Touch wood, let's see what happens. Not that I wish people unwell, but let's be pragmatic. There's still many fractures in the global economy, and they're getting deeper and deeper, and many analysts spreading concerns about more crises to come. So that could be to the delight of cryptocurrency investors and to a certain point day traders. I want to wrap up this whole point. I don't have it on the screen, but I saw a post the other day which reinforces a lot of the tribalism that occurs throughout the cryptocurrency space. And it spoke about XRP. It went along the lines of, it's a terrible day for XRP because it's down considerably in Satoshis relative to Bitcoin. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Satoshis are fractions of Bitcoin. Because as we can see, Bitcoin had a huge surge and XRP not as much over that 24-hour period. In my opinion, this is a time when people, sounds corny, but I'm going to say it anyway, we need to show more unity in the space. Cryptocurrencies overall as a space, say as a single entity, for simplicity, constantly under attack from various aspects. But so much infighting in this space, especially over the past 2 years. This is a time when we need to try and get the overall space to grow. There are many people who want XRP just to moon, and they don't like Bitcoin, or they prefer Ethereum and they hate other things. Well, why can't we get all of the boats rising with the tide, especially the projects that are all very promising? A lot of these major projects, there's garbage up there as well, to be fair. But nevertheless, many of these are up here for a reason and will probably be some of the most successful cryptocurrencies. Let's not forget, there are some further down the list who will most likely take off and shine as well. That's a wrap. A bit of waffle, but I think we're all guilty of that at times. Nevertheless, useful information. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you would like to stay up to date with my latest videos. Don't forget to smash the bell icon if you want to keep informed as well and not miss any of my content. Share it with anyone who you believe will benefit from this. If you have something to say or you just want to say g'day, by all means, feel free to leave feedback in the comments section. That's a wrap. Take it easy. Hope you're having a wonderful day or evening. Chat to you soon. See you.